Before we begin, let us make a quiet agreement with ourselves. We are not here to collect more quotes. We are here to change something small but real. Because most of us already know what is good for the mind, yet the mind still drifts, still doubts, still delays, still carries weight it does not need. Buddhist wisdom is not meant to impress us, it is meant to free us. And freedom often starts in humble ways. So our first life lesson is this: it is okay to start small. A jug fills drop by drop, and no one becomes wise, calm, or strong in a single sunrise. We all begin as amateurs. We all begin with shaky hands, imperfect habits, and an uncertain heart. But small beginnings are not a sign you are failing. They are proof you are alive and learning. The mistake is not starting small. The mistake is refusing to start at all, because the ego wants instant results. If you can do something tiny today and repeat it tomorrow, you are already building the kind of success that cannot be faked, the kind that grows quietly until one day you look back and realize your small was actually the doorway. So do not despise the first step. If you want peace, begin with 1 minute of stillness. If you want discipline, begin with one promise you can keep. If you want a better life, begin with one small act you can repeat until it becomes part of you. The second lesson flows from the first, because once you start small, you must protect what you are building, and what you are building is not only your schedule or your habits, it is your mind. Thoughts become things. The Buddha taught that the mind shapes our experience, and this is not mystical, it is practical. If we speak or act from a poisoned mind, pain follows, and if we speak or act from a clear mind, happiness follows like a shadow. Your thinking determines your actions determine your outcomes, and your outcomes eventually become your identity. Many people try to change their life by changing the outside first, but the outside is often only a mirror of what has been repeated inside. If you repeatedly think, "I am not enough," you will act from fear and chase approval. If you repeatedly think, "People cannot be trusted," you will act from suspicion and create distance. If you repeatedly think, "This is hopeless," you will stop trying, and the world will look like proof. But if you transform the mind, the life follows. So train yourself to notice the first thought, because the first thought is often the seed, and the seed becomes the forest. When an anxious thought appears, do not worship it as truth. When a bitter thought appears, do not feed it as entertainment. When a cruel thought appears, do not excuse it as just my personality. Choose one right thought to return to, one that leads to courage, patience, and kindness. Over time, the mind learns a new home, and a new home becomes a new life. The third lesson is forgiveness, and forgiveness is often the moment the heart argues the most, because the mind thinks forgiveness means weakness, surrender, or pretending the wound did not happen. But holding on to anger is like gripping a hot coal, hoping to throw it at someone else, yet you are the one being burned first. Forgiveness is not saying what you did was okay. It's saying, "I will not let what you did control me anymore." When we keep someone locked in the prison of unforgiveness, we do not realize we are living in the same prison, replaying the same scene, rehearsing the same speech, draining the same energy, and it's exhausting. Forgiveness is release. Forgiveness is stepping out of the fire. Forgiveness is choosing peace over poison. If you need a more realistic way to think about it, forgive in percentages. Forgive 1% today. Soften your grip 1%. Refuse to rehearse the argument 1%. Then tomorrow, another 1%. This is how the mind heals without forcing the heart to lie. And sometimes forgiveness begins with forgiving yourself, because shame can become a hidden form of anger turned inward. If you keep punishing yourself, you keep the mind in chains. Learn quickly, take responsibility, make amends where you can, and then choose to move forward. A mind that can forgive becomes lighter, and a lighter mind becomes freer. The fourth lesson is where wisdom becomes real. It is your actions that count. You can read holy words, speak beautiful truths, share inspiring lines, and still remain unchanged if you do not act. Talk is cheap because words alone do not build character. In Buddhism, understanding without practice is like standing beside a river and dying of thirst. The world is full of people who can explain wisdom but cannot live it under pressure. So measure your progress by what you practice. If you say you value patience, practice patience when you are late. If you say you value kindness, practice kindness when you are misunderstood. If you say you value discipline, practice discipline when no one is watching. Greatness does not fall upon you. Greatness is built through consistent action. Even the simplest proverb reminds us, the worm is not thrown into the bird's nest. You must move, you must try, you must fail and try again. The mind changes when the body follows. So choose one action from each lesson and make it concrete. Write the message you have been avoiding. Clean up one small habit. Speak one honest truth with respect. Keep one promise you made to yourself. Wisdom becomes stable only when it becomes behavior repeated. The fifth lesson is to seek to understand, because in controversy, the instant we feel anger rising, we often stop striving for truth and start striving for ourselves. Anger narrows the mind. It makes us want to win. It makes us want to be right. It makes us protect our image. But peace does not come from winning every argument. Peace comes from clarity, and clarity comes from understanding. When you labor to understand someone's perspective, even if you disagree, the mind becomes less reactive and more wise. This does not mean you become passive. It means you become skillful. You learn to ask, what is this person really trying to say beneath their words? You learn to notice the fear behind the harsh tone, the insecurity behind the sarcasm, the pain behind the accusation. And when you understand, you respond from strength instead of impulse. Be more concerned with being happy than being right, because right without peace is a thin victory. If you want a practical habit, pause before you respond and ask yourself, is my next sentence going to heal or harm? Most of our regrets come from words said too quickly. Understanding slows the mind down, and when the mind slows down, compassion has a chance to enter. The sixth lesson is to conquer yourself, because it is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles. Outer victories can be stolen. Inner victories become part of you. The greatest opponent is often not a person, but the restless mind that wants immediate pleasure, immediate control, immediate validation. To conquer yourself, you must conquer your thinking. Your thoughts cannot be tossed around like waves if you want a steady life. Many people say, "I cannot control my thoughts," and it is true that thoughts appear, but you do not have to obey every thought. A bird may fly over your head, but you can stop it from building a nest in your hair. That means you can dismiss thoughts that lead you away from the person you want to become. Dismiss the thought that says, "Be cruel, they deserve it." Dismiss the thought that says, "Give up, it is pointless." Dismiss the thought that says, "Prove yourself or you are nothing." Replace them with thoughts that lead to patience, dignity, and calm. Self-mastery is not rigid, it is gentle and steady. You do not crush your mind, you train it, and when you train it, you become a person who cannot be easily manipulated by praise or blame, because your center is inside, not outside. The seventh lesson is to live in peace, and the Buddha's reminder is clear. Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. People often search for peace in new conditions, a new job, a new car, a new relationship, a new home, a new status. And while these things can be pleasant, they cannot guarantee peace. Because peace is not an object, it is a state of mind. If the mind is agitated, even luxury feels irritating, and even praise feels empty. If the mind is peaceful, even ordinary life feels sufficient, and even challenges become workable. This is why running outward does not solve inner unrest. Sometimes we search outside only to distract ourselves from the truth we already know, that the real work is inside. Peace is a new perspective, and that perspective begins with you, with how you interpret, how you respond, how you choose, how you let go. When you stop depending on circumstances to be perfect, you begin to access a calm that does not need permission. And that calm is not denial, it is stability. It is the quiet confidence that says, whatever happens, I can meet it with a peaceful mind. The eighth lesson is to be thankful, and gratitude is one of the fastest ways to soften a restless mind. The Buddha's spirit of gratitude reminds us that even if we did not learn a lot today, we may have learned a little. And even if we did not learn a little, at least we were not sick. And even if we were sick, at least we are still here. There is always something to be thankful for, but the mind that is addicted to complaint will miss it. And when the mind misses gratitude, it becomes hungry, it becomes pessimistic, it becomes blind to goodness. Remember that not everyone woke up this morning. Some people went to sleep last night for the last time. This is not meant to scare you, it is meant to bring you back to the miracle of being alive. A grateful heart becomes lighter. A lighter heart becomes more generous. A more generous heart becomes happier. If you want to practice gratitude in a way that feels real, do not make it abstract. Name specific things. One person who helped you, one meal that nourished you, one problem you avoided, one moment of calm. Gratitude trains the mind to see what is present, not only what is missing. And when the mind stops obsessing over what is missing, peace grows naturally. The ninth lesson is to be true to what you know, because the only real failure in life is not being true to the best you know. Most of us already know enough to improve our life. We know what harms us. We know what heals us. We know what we should stop doing. We know what we should start doing. But knowledge without action becomes a burden because it creates inner conflict. The mind suffers when it lives against itself. If you fail, it is rarely because you did not know. It is because you did not do what you knew to do. So do not only consume information, ponder it, let it become desire, let it become commitment, then let it become practice. Ask yourself, what am I pretending not to know? That question is powerful because it exposes the excuse. Then choose one small act of alignment. If you know you should apologize, do it. If you know you should rest, rest. If you know you should stop a harmful habit, take the first step. Being true to what you know is how the mind becomes unified, and a unified mind feels peace because it is no longer split between what it believes and what it does. The 10th lesson is to travel well, because it is better to travel well than to arrive. Life is the journey, and the mind often postpones happiness, saying, "When I reach that goal, then I will be at peace." But peace delayed is peace denied. If you cannot be present now, you will not suddenly become present later, because later is built from the habits of now. Traveling well means bringing dignity into the day you are living, not the day you are dreaming about. It means enjoying the small moments without guilt. It means working toward improvement without making your worth dependent on achievement. It means recognizing that the road itself is your life and the way you walk matters. So here is the best way to close these 10 lessons. Do not try to practice all 10 at once. Choose one lesson that touched you most. Practice it for 7 days. If it is starting small, commit to one tiny habit. If it is thoughts becoming things, commit to replacing one harmful thought pattern. If it is forgiveness, commit to softening one grudge. If it is action, commit to one daily behavior. If it is understanding, commit to listening longer than you speak. If it is conquering yourself, commit to dismissing thoughts that lead you away from your values. If it is living in peace, commit to returning inward instead of chasing outward fixes. If it is gratitude, commit to naming what is good. If it is being true to what you know, commit to doing the thing you have been avoiding. If it is traveling well, commit to being present today. And if this teaching brought you even a little calm, carry it into your next moment. When pressure rises, keep the mind steady and let peace guide your next step. Subscribe for more Buddhist wisdom and quiet stories each week, and comment what word you want to practice today: calm, patience, or kindness.